What is your? I'll stick with you, Peter. Actually, what has been your vice over this question used to be how many units of alcohol have you had in the last 48 hours? Well, I realise that not not everybody drinks, but what's your vice and how many units of alcohol have you had in the last 48
I mean, I don't even know what units are anymore. But do you know how I judge it? I judge it on my shopping. So I avoid supermarkets like the plague now because I hate them and it scares me. So we generally go once every 3 weeks, and then I do top-ups in like greengrocers and stuff locally. But I do my booze shop once every 3 weeks, which when you're going in, actually the system is you whack it all in your trolley at Aldi, and then you put the items on and you go, I've got 12 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them. And it makes putting it through the till just a little bit easier.
Are they not limiting how much you can buy?
No.
Top tip, get down to
You can buy 12 bottles of Prosecco in Aldi without issue. I can confirm that's possible.
Awesome. Baking? Have you started?
I have.
You haven't baked banana bread?
Not banana bread, because I won't do that. I baked a Victoria sponge.
Oh, that's lovely.
But, I mean, it wasn't great, so I won't be doing it again.
Oh, I love a Victoria sponge.
Yeah,
Really do. It's one of my favourites. Yeah. Fair enough. David?
Well, I think... I don't know how much alcohol I'm drinking. I just know I'm probably drinking a little bit too much, if I'm brutally honest. The only thing that I can ever measure how many units I'm drinking is every other Sunday when I have to take the recycling down the drive and the bottles of wine are all falling out as I'm walking down the drive and I'm picking them back up. And I think, ooh, that's quite a heavy load, really. I need to bend from the knees when I pick it up.
No, you don't drink. You're teetotal. Have been for a few years, haven't you?
Yeah, 2 years, 7 months, I think, something like that.
Yeah, good for you, mate.
I really miss it. I'm really missing it. It's so bad. Anyway, next question.
No, not next question. I want to come to you really quickly. Is there anything particular in the chat?
So there's a couple of questions popped in already. Carl's asked, what's the positives that you'll take away from the situation and carry forward?
For me, personally, this whole thing, although there's loads of negatives around, not being able to go out to work and work-wise, it's been a real challenge for me. But personally, I don't think I've ever been happier. I spend so much time out of the house. As if there's anybody watching here now that goes to ActUpNorth, they'll know that those classes are evening classes. I'm working all day and all night, and sometimes I'm leaving the house at 10 to 6 in the morning and getting home at 11:45 at night, and I never get to see Jen. I never get to see Elsie, my daughter. Me being able to be around more has been awesome for me personally, because I've got to spend loads of time and see, and she's going through quite a big growth spurt at the moment, loads of teeth, and she's walking around a bit and stuff, and it's amazing. And I'm getting to see all that. And I know you're kind of asking more on a professional level, but I think that that's going to really help me in my professional life as well, because it's really made me evaluate, what's important. And I put myself under a lot of stress and a lot of pressure at work, because I have to, things have to go well. I have to be precise. Things have to be planned and perfect. And I think that, I might just take things a little bit easier now, especially because the worst that could possibly happen, like I'm stopping working, I'm not earning anything, has happened. And the end of the world is not. I'm still taking loads and loads of positives. And I think that maybe when stressful situations happen in my professional life, big calls need to be made, difficult decisions need to be made, whatever that kind of makes me go a little bit, then maybe I will look at it a little bit differently. And maybe that might make me make better decisions, I suppose, as an artist and as a creative, because I'll be okay with it. In our business, that you can't separate the person from the professional. That is your personality is your professional being as well. And I think that I needed to maybe work a little bit more on that and not just be kind of just stuck in work, David, but actually a little bit of something else. I think it'll be really good for me.
Great answer.
Yeah, like that.
Peter?
How do I follow that?
Jimmy, I could see him. He was taking breath for his son as well. So
Well, I think you're right. I think it makes you realise. See, I didn't even have that time to prep of going into the office and bringing things home. I've literally got what is at my fingertips to continue doing what I do and trying to be creative with what you do. And actually, I think linking with what David said is realizing actually the bits you can do remotely from home and what is essential for you to be somewhere else to do. So I think that's probably one really big thing. I think the other thing is, and I suppose it comes back to an early point about just being kinder to each other. I love Twitter, but it was getting quite a negative space before all this happened. And now it's weirdly seems to have turned into this really lovely online community, people sharing great stories and stuff. I hope it doesn't end when all of this does and actually we continue to be nice. The biggest thing for me is that there's always been this hierarchy of casting directors, agents, producers, and everybody putting people there or acting like they should be there. It's actually, aren't we all just human trying to survive a deadly virus right now? And actually just go, can we not just then remember that we're all living under the same circumstances and just take that? And that's what I try to do when I meet actors in the room. It's just go, I'm here, you're there. Yeah, you're trying to get a gig out of it, so it's going to be a bit more awkward for you than it is for me. But can't we just talk about other random stuff and try and make this not about status games and play, because it's really quite boring, all of that side. And I don't know why people would want to do it for that. Let's just go, we want to find the best person for the job, have a bit of a laugh, and if you don't get the job, at least we've had a nice chat.
You don't get the best out of an actor putting them under pressure. And there might be a few people that thrive under that, of course, but most people are, are human beings, and they're really hypersensitive in an audition room. And I think that it's a really important point that you pick up on, Peter, about, we're all just people surviving a virus. So whenever you walk into a room, I try to instill my actors, any actors I talk to, with as much confidence as possible, to just remind them that the person sat opposite them in that casting seat is a human, just like them. They just have a different job title. The amount of times I've heard somebody saying it was better in rehearsal or better outside or whatever, it's of course. Because now there's no pressure on you when you're out there. Of course you can be a brilliant creative and you can be free and connected to a role. Of course you can do that. The trick is to be able to do that when you bring that in front of somebody. As soon as you treat them like that, you'll be able to behave free in front of that casting director as well.
Okay. And remember to subscribe and all that stuff. You've let me down, Mike.
I've got it written twice on the screen. I've said it.
All right, fair enough. So Peter, how many toilet rolls have we got in the house?
We've got quite a lot. So we've probably got maybe 16 left. Mm-hmm. But in our defence, we use this.
Why do you feel you need to defend yourself?
Because everybody be like, oh, bulk buying. But actually, we do this what's the crap stuff. The recycled stuff that you buy in bulk. Yeah. Which we'd done anyway. So when everyone was panic buying loo roll, I was like, I've got shitloads, mate. You're all right.
So buying in bulk is the phrase that's used by people that hoard things, isn't it? That's that phrase. David?
Prosecco and bog roll, I'm fine.
Yeah. Probably about...
Is there a connection there between...
Depends how many balls a night, eh?
Sorry, David.
I'd say about 3. We like to live life on the edge. We always run out of everything, like not just toilet roll, but just everything. We're not... in this house, we don't forward plan very well. It's all just about, what have we got? Let's know, we've run out of this, run out of that. We always run out of things.
Dangerous.
We just, that's just the kind of ethos of this house. Always seems to have been that way. 3,
though. 3's impressive. I don't think we ever get as low as 3.
Yeah, I think 3, and no one's worried about it at the moment. If the missus is watching this now, she might come running in and going like, where are you? Nip out to the shop, so I might have made a rod for my own back there.
David, what were you working on before shutdown?
So ActUpNorth was, we were building towards our casting weekend, where we had our casting directors coming up, which unfortunately that all stopped just before. So students were a little bit gutted, all preparing for, they were all ready to rock and roll really with casting weekend. So that all came to a halt. And just finished Thick as Thieves, luckily, and also doing some stuff over at universities as well, which all came to a grinding halt. Everything kind of just slammed on the brakes, including little holidays that I had planned, weekends away and things like that. Barcelona, Italy, I was supposed to be going to, all straight out the window. So yeah, everything stopped for me really, and then I got really sick. So it was all a bit of a whirlwind time really.
Can you give us a brief insight as to what an acting consultant or an acting coach or whatever it does
I've never ever been called an acting consultant.
Well, I don't know what the official.
I love it. Like, I'm an acting consultant.
I don't know what the official name is. When you're on set.
Yeah. Well, it's been loosely referred to as an acting coach, but again, I try to just even take that title away from me when I'm working with an actor, because I'm not teaching them how to act. They already know how to act. What I do on set is I just get them to work with the text, get them to think about what their choices that they're making, and empower them, basically. It's not rocket science. The people that I'm working with are really, really talented people, and they understand how to work on set. They understand how to make a scene work. When you're watching an episode of Coronation Street, Hollyoaks, Holby, any type of drama that is churning out episodes, they're working under extremely difficult circumstances where scripts get changed really, really quickly. They can be losing the light, so they can only have a couple of passes. But I've worked with actors on a scene, and we've spent a good couple of hours on one scene. And then I've bumped into the actor in the corridor a few days later, and they've said, I got 2 passes at it because they were overrunning, and we were running up to wrap. And we'd spent ages on it, and thankfully we spent ages on it because it actually was a great scene, and he completed. It's that pressure that actors work under always gets forgotten about by your audience, and ultimately those actors are being judged by millions of people on whether or not that scene's good. Hell of a lot of responsibility on their shoulders. And when there's heavy scenes, and as we all know in soaps, there's always heavy scenes. You're either killing your mum or having sex with your dad or something, it's going to go badly wrong for you.
Hollyoaks is going to be fun coming up, isn't it? Blimey.
We have been in lockdown.
Something's always kicking off. And it's just understood and expected that an actor of 18, 19, 20, 21 can just deliver that when they might have never even experienced death themselves, and yet they've got to kill somebody or mourn the death of their father or whatever. So my job is not to tell them how to or coach them how to act. It's just about giving them a few tools, empowering them, and reminding them that they can do it, and encouraging certain choices, and letting them be free and play and rehearse. It's all about empowering actors, I suppose.
But you are going to put acting consultant on your business card now, aren't you?
I'm getting business cards now.
Hey, mate, with that new tile, add a 0 on.
Yeah, no.
Then I'll be £3.
Better than nothing. Fair enough. That's what I was going to ask you, Peter, because we know that you're still doing the day job, still doing Hollyoaks, but I know there were lots of other projects and things that you were doing beforehand. What's happened with that? Has that all just come to an abrupt end, or?
So there's a new show that we're making on the video on demand platform, which hasn't been announced. We can't say which one, but let's face it, it's one or two. Which was about 6 days off completion. So he's still going to have to come back at some point, which will be interesting with an international cast as to when that might be. But it needs to be finished, but it's not far off finished. So that one's nearly done for season 1 of that show. And then I was working on an online kind of comedy that we're going to be working on putting out. So I'm now getting people to do ADR under their duvets in their bedroom.
Classic. Works a
treat. That's what I mean. You go, if we need certain bits ADR, can we work it with a phone under a duvet? And yeah, the magic of telly of going where, and you know what, I think what's good now is a lot of actors are equipped with like home studios and stuff like that. You can get, this is the best time to be a voiceover artist and have your own equipment, because actually there's so much going on. What I think is really amazing is agent friends of mine are telling me they're still making TV adverts where they send you all of the filming equipment and somebody talks you through how to set it up and has a director live, and they're filming adverts in their own house.
Yeah.
I'm like,
crackers.
This is how the world's adapting, in that, do you need to film an advert anymore if you can deliver all the stuff for someone to make it in their own house?
But that's the worry, isn't it? All the creative and the people that are on set. I mean, I don't mean in front of the camera, I mean behind the camera. If suddenly you've got a load of money men thinking, we don't need these people anymore
Yeah.
because we can just send, what happens in that situation.
We're doing the MASH report and Sunday brunch with 2 laptops. Do you know what
I think it's true, and it is, worrying. I think, even if you think about, and again, nothing's been decided about how we go back, but the reality of, Dave, Janine will be thinking about this. How you make up an actor if you're not allowed to get that close to them. How do you do checks before a scene's about to be filmed? I think all I can hope is that everybody will realise these are special circumstances that we're working under. And I've been reading quite interestingly what they're doing over at Neighbours.
Of course,
Neighbours is the first. Yeah, they've gone back. And some of it, is quite crazy. So men, no makeup at all. Women, you'll do your own makeup, no checks, and they might come in and help if needed. And how you're filming actors that are 2 meters apart and still making it like they're next to each other with camera tricks, and you've got to have 4 meters squared per person on any given set. It's all like really quite weirdly interesting to go, how do you achieve that?
Would that even be possible on the Hollyoaks set, for example? Because it is quite condensed, the Hollyoaks set, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's still a vast area, but there's a
weirdly, I would have thought it would be easier for us than it would be for Coronation Street or Emmerdale, because we're single camera, so you can set it up a number of times and do it. How do you shoot a scene in the Rovers with 3 cameras?
You need a loader, a clapper, and all those kinds of things. But if you double up on those cameras, then you need camera ops for that side as well. And there's much more, many more people on set. And Emmerdale and Corrie, of course, the sets that they have are huge. So there is space for them to be trying to practice social distancing, but you are multiplying the amount of people that are in a closed environment, essentially. It's going to be like this for a long time. We've got to just get real about that, I think, and just go, this ain't going to change. June, when we're all allowed back, if that is when it is, or whenever those things where everything's going to get relaxed off, it's not going to be the same for a very long time. And we'll just have to get used to these being our new norms for a long time, I think.
Yeah.
And the beauty about camera work that's different to theatre work is the smoke and mirrors of camera. You can change a lens on a camera and make somebody appear over the shoulder much closer than they actually are if you're using the right lens. And it's all just going to be about how you shoot things and how you can tell a story. So if you're doing a group scene in the Rovers, you've really got to think about how you can shoot in the Rovers that's going to make you not having too many people in the background, so you can shoot in separate little pods. So they'll be going to the pod down there, then they'll be cutting up to the bar, and they'll be all just shooting it and taking it in little pieces. It'll slow filming down a little bit, but they'll get it done because they have.
Yeah, that's really interesting because it's something I hadn't considered before, and that's background artists. Because for the short term at least, that's got to be pretty much a thing of the past.
Yeah, there won't be any background for.
The beauty about this,
who knows?
There's a lot of people in this business that can think outside the box. There's a lot of people in this business that can make shit happen, and that's what we've just got to hold on to. The fact that we will make something work, and yes, it won't be as perfect as what was before the virus, but we'll do it because we have to do it and we want to do it.
Two very quick questions, because obviously the output has had to slow down to a stop. So then there is a knock-on effect, because is Hollyoaks 4 times a week? Five times a week.
Yeah.
So obviously, when do people start panicking? Second part to that question is also, have they started writing in, or has there been some stuff, are you allowed to say, about coronavirus?
The coronavirus written in, I think that's a debate that everyone's having. I don't know that anybody has made a decision. If it was down to me, we wouldn't, because I think people tune in to watch soap opera for escapism and silliness and camp fun. And I think we're all living it, that I don't really want to then see somebody else's trials of having to live that then. But again, that's just my own personal opinion on it. But I don't know that it's been decided. I don't think it has. I've not been across any. I think there's a lot of debate about, because I think Neighbours have decided that they're not going to reference it because they want to keep that story world, again, as I've just said, escapism. But I think it'll be interesting to see, because I think there will be a divide. I think there will be. I would be surprised if somebody like EastEnders didn't reference it. but whether or not those slightly more, your Hollyoaks, your Emmerdales and stuff, is whether they leave it as pure escapism, or whether because I've also been thinking, like, if we do film pub scenes, are pubs even going to be reopen? Or if we're not filming pub scenes because we're 6 to 8 weeks behind, by the time the pubs are open, we're all going, oh, I'm missing the pub so much for another 6 weeks. So it's I think it's hard if you do reflect it fully, because at some point you're going to be out of date and you're going to be 6 to 8 weeks behind. And the thing we can all guarantee is that when this is all over, whenever that might be, we don't want to be tuning in for a reminder of it 5 nights a week. The only thing that I think would be interesting is referencing how we now communicate with our wider family. Yeah. Rather than having, big scenes in the Barlows, are the Barlows suddenly having a Zoom catch up as you talk about Ken's birthday now, but actually that would be a more interesting way of reflecting how we're all living and communicating right now, without it being, do you have Ken that can't work Zoom or something like, I just think is there fun ways to reference and reflect what we're all going through without it being so kind of downbeat and reflecting the bad bits of what we're going through.
Yeah.
Ultimately, telephone conversations have never been that interesting on telly. So I doubt that, any type of self-isolation storyline is going to be that interesting either, because ultimately it's quite static. There's no one in the room to interact with. But it brings challenges. And it's not saying that it can't be uninteresting. There's been a whole phone booth set around a telephone. Yeah. It was very good. So it's possible to do it, but you've got to be incredibly imaginative about how you can direct that and make that story work.
I want to see the Barlow family bust up over the weekly Zoom pub quiz, though. That would be amazing.
Right, this is the only way you're going to be able to do it, I think, and I think that would be an interesting way of telling stories.
Favourite career moment? Because David's having a slug of wine, I'll stick with you, Peter.
Probably when I'd made it in my house in casting was when I cast Linda Gray in Hollyoaks. So the Dallas favourite that everyone was like, you will never get her. And I was like, don't ask, don't get. And she flew over from LA to do episodes of Hollyoaks. And I think, Linda Gray in Hollyoaks. And when those promo pictures came out and the soap magazines went crazy, I was like, I have put Linda Gray from Dallas in Hollyoaks. And she was absolutely amazing and one of the most loveliest and most professional people I've ever met. I went to see her on set, and she got told I was there and wanted to say hello, and she had a roller in her hair, and she made the makeup artist take it out and said, I can't meet a casting director with a roller in my hair. And then came over and asked how my wedding had gone, because she'd heard I was getting married. And, I go, that's what makes somebody from a good actor a star, is that no matter what show she was working on, she'd done her research, was fun, and everybody that worked with her said the nicest person they've worked with, even at that level. And that's my point of, you hear all sorts of horror stories, and I'm sure we've all got some of people we've worked with, and you've got somebody of that level with that amount of experience behind their belt, and they're just lovely. And I think she was over on one of her birthdays, and she'd flown into a London airport and was being driven up. And she said her best birthday had been stopping in for an M&S sandwich at a road stop with the driver that we'd put on for her. And she'd had one of the best birthdays ever, off the hard shoulder on a motorway in the UK.
Which makes you wonder what she was doing with the driver.
I said that, Leaks. That's all I was thinking about. Okay.
Fair enough. Look, we've got some very nice service stations up the M6.
We look after our actors on Hollyoaks.
Fair enough. David?
Mine is when I was acting, and it's something that I'll always kind of hold quite as a treasured moment. And it was I was on tour doing a play, and it was a comedy, and I think we was in Newark at the theatre in Newark. I don't know. It was this big long theatre, went back and back. I think it was an old lecture hall or something like that. And I was playing this character called Bungo, and I had to stand on stage and do this one little speech. And once I finished this speech, I had my arm up in the air, and it went into this single spotlight. So there was just this one special, and everything went dark. Anyway, that was the one scene that I had to play. And throughout the play, there was this moth flying around in the theatre that got in. And it was kind of coming down on stage a little bit and then flying off, but then kind of going off into the auditorium. Anyway, I finished this speech, and the final line was, "And I can return home." And I have my hand up in the air, and I'm looking up, and this is the truth. The moth came and landed on my nose. Nose. And then everybody just roared into laughter. And then the moth flew off. The lights came back on. And then I looked out to the audience, which I shouldn't have done. It's very unprofessional of me. And I just went, "I'll see you later," and just walked off. And it was, because I just thought, it was a comedy. There's nothing more funnier than that. It couldn't have happened ever again. And I just thought, I've only got about 7 lines left now anyway, so I'll just go. And I went, and it was amazing. I loved it.
Great. They say never work with animals. But if a moth's going to land on your nose...
There was a reviewer in that night that said, I don't know if this is an insult, actually, David Crowley was staged by a moth. He's right. I did get upstaged by that moth. It got the biggest laugh of the night.
But I'll tell you what, have you never wanted to go to the theatre more than now? I can't imagine what it's going to be like when that first night when you're able to go.
Honestly, I can't wait. I was saying before that not being in a rehearsal room, because I've been really lucky over the last few years that I've had job after job, and I've done lots of theatre, and I've been in lots of rehearsal rooms, and oh my God, I can't tell you how much I miss it. It honestly makes me want to cry. Just
keep it up,
not having it. Oh, sorry. I'm not going to cry.
But I think it's that joy of when we are going to be able to. I can't wait for the next night at the theatre. Just the buzz that there's going to be of everyone being able to be back there, and as you said, for all the actors that have worked on it, for that curtain to go up, what an amazing feeling.
And you want the full crowds as well. You don't want the people sat in 3 seats and then another person sat. You don't want any. You want it 1,000 people crammed in and hazmats.
All with helmets on, all steaming up.
And all the actors are the same. Yeah.
What's the crowd like? Oh, they're all exactly the same.
When things do start kicking off again, a bit of advice for creatives or actors or anyone really.
I'm going to start off by saying be patient, which I think that's going to be hard, and I'm just as eager that when lights can turn back on again and switches go back on, that we all go, right, we're there, let's go. But I think nobody knows what we're going back to, and we're making it up as we go along. And I hope that we're going to be one of the first to go back, because I'd like to think that our kind of shows are a bit more, I've got lots of freelancer friends that were working on, independent dramas that we're filming, that I think are going to be harder for them to fire up. It's easy with our storylines and scripts to make amendments about how many people you have in a scene, how you tell a story and stuff like that. So I think it's just a bit of patience of going. When it fires up, it's not necessarily going to be quick, and we're all finding our way in a dark room, and we will get there, but it's just, have that patience. And if you can survive and get through this, then flipping it, we can get through anything, right? That's my key thing. We're all in this together, and we're all finding our way, and we'll get there. It will just take us a bit of time to work out how that is for now.
And just to kind of build on that, because I think that is the key piece of advice, just being patient with it all. I think that when we do get back up and running and back into some sort of normality, and who knows what our new normal is going to be, meet people safely and get creative yourself. Don't just kind of go, well, now I'm back up and running, I'm going to send an email to Peter and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But actually just reconnect with people and create with people and talk to people about scenes that you want to do or any type of creative activity that takes interaction, that's not on Zoom or that's not on Skype or whatever, but just going, do you want to get together? And I've been climbing the walls and I've written this scene. Do you want to just meet up for a coffee and just like dissect it and talk about it and just have a beer and just meet each other and talk to each other properly again? Because this is cool what we're doing right now. Talk is not online, and it's amazing that we've got this platform available to us. Ultimately, when things go back to some sort of normality, for creative people, I would just say meet other creative people. Lee, you've already said, I want to cry, I want to get in a rehearsal room that much, I want to cry, and I know that you're not, you say it kind of jovially, but I know that there's a lot of truth in that. And ultimately, you've just got to kind of meet up with other actors and kind of go, let's just do something.
What
I
a
haven't got.
note to end on.
I haven't got anything else to add. It's nearly 9:30. I really appreciate your time, Peter,
Yeah,
David.
thank you,
Thank you
gents.
so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Stay safe, stay well. Feel free to stay on if you wish, but if you want to log off, we'll finish the show off, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks. I drink my wine now and just listen.
Another great show, Mike.
Yeah, brilliant. And do you know what's really good is over the last few weeks where we've been talking about the future of the industry and all those kind of stuff, it kind of there's been a little pragmatism within me that's gone, yeah, of course it's going to change. Of course, they're going to be cutting these jobs because they've seen that this can be done. And after tonight, I'm filled with a little bit of hope of that things can get back to where they were. It might not be overnight, but it's going to get there.
Big show coming up on Monday. Very excited to have Anthony and Matthew Lewis coming on for a chat. It's going to be a bit of a Yorkshire show there, but we'll chat all things.
We'll try not to end up with now then and all that.
I'm not sure. I think we probably will. There'll be a little bit of that, and I'm sure there'll be a little bit of Harry Potter as well, but not too much. So we'll see you on Monday. 8 p.m. live. You know where we are. You know what this is by now. Please subscribe. Please like.
Thanks for watching. Thanks to everybody in the chat. It's been great. Last few shows, that chat has really lit up, and it's lovely to see. It's great to see some regulars. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Sarah's mum. Hello, Jenny.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to break you off, Mike. But Jeremy, because David might be interested in this, Jeremy has said that Bath Theatre Royal is supposed to be haunted by the ghost of a butterfly. Did you know that? There you go. There's a little something.
Jeremy, that is awesome.
Yeah, so there you are.
So, thanks for joining us in our weird little online pub, the Ghostlight Social. It's a joy as ever to bring you the kind of content we've been doing. It is going to carry on after lockdown, I'm sure of it. We may not do it twice a week, but we're going to carry on doing it because I've loved this. I've loved meeting everybody and talking to everybody, and yeah, I'm going to stop talking. And
you're not going to cry, are you going to cry?
I'm not going to cry. I'm going to look forward to my chest infection in the morning, and I will see you bright and early at 8 p.m. With the Lewises on Monday. Adios from the bunker.